Hi, this is DarkFox127 and welcome to a Mörskom Estate rebuild early preview video. That's a gobful. Today's video is just to, essentially what it says on the tin, show you around the new Morskom Estate, which is coming to Skyrim Special Edition and Legacy as an update to the old version. Completely new version. Before I get into anything, I'm going to give a fair warning. This video could be long. It could be an hour long. It could be a little bit longer. I'm not entirely certain, and I doubt I'll have the time to go back and cut a lot out. So you might need to do a bit of skipping ahead if I end up rambling. This won't be fantastically constructed, you know, step by step. This is me just diving in, having a little ramble and showing you whatever I feel like showing you. So yeah, other warnings are that the audio once I get into game might be a little bit shaky, might not be the best, as I have to record with NVIDIA, whatever you call it, shadow play, because that's the only thing that will record it without causing major lag when I'm in game, which is just horrendous to watch. So it'll still have a few frame rate drops, but other than that, it should be okay. So the other thing is that this is an alpha, and yes, I am reading off a list. Because it's been a while since I've done videos. But yeah, it is in alpha stage, sort of moving into beta. It is pretty much nearly finished, but there's a lot of polish to be done, so do expect things to be broken and things not to quite go all that smoothly in the video. So do forgive some things. You know, there might be a purple texture here, there might be a slip up here and there, because this is also going to be viewing the special edition version because it's the best looking and it's the mod setup that is set up the best. So yeah, that's pretty much the fair warning. So before we get into it, you can feel free to just skip this bit ahead if you like and get into the gameplay, but I'm just going to give you a little bit of a story behind all of this. Essentially what I've been doing is going back to old mods. I did Riverside Shack, I'd say recently. I don't know if that was like a year ago now. Time is going so quick, I don't even know where I am anymore. But I did Riverside Shack, made Riverside Shack 3. It just overhauled everything. It made everything fit in the game beautifully, and that's essentially what I'm trying to achieve here. I've gone back to old Mörskom Estate and just revamped it, rebuilt it about 80%. So that's literally the exterior staying put, and the entire of the interior has been completely wiped. Just new cell, done everything from scratch. Basement wiped out, completely redone, whole new design. There are tons of things which I'll sort of, I don't know about mostly show in this video, but you'll get the big gist of the changes. If you've played the old version, which is currently available on the Nexus, don't recommend it. Yeah, if you play the old version, you will definitely see a lot of changes, especially if you've played Morskom Estate, the old one, recently. So the story behind this is basically I planned this a year or two ago or something, and I made articles and I got super excited and I'd started the rebuild. I did about half the structure and then I just lost momentum. I didn't feel like doing it anymore. I moved on to other projects. I even did a new Corinthia Tower partial rebuild, which is a long project. Not sure if I'll continue it. That's for another video. And then I cancelled the Morskom Estate rebuild because I was like, if I'm not enjoying modding it, I'm not going to do it. However, certain members of the community got in touch with me, you'll know who you are, and started pitching a few options like, can I have permission to take this mod, have somebody else sort of take it and try and fix it because it crashes a lot and all these problems and left, right and centre. The issue with the old Morskom Estate is it was filled to the brim. Me and Eleonora, co-creator, we got a little happy with it, and it's my fault. I'll take the blame on the performance issues because I said, let's not worry about it. Let's just pack it filled with stuff. And if people don't have the rig for it, tough cookie, which is a bit of a stupid thing to do. Not everybody has a really good rig to run insane Skyrim mods. And really, when a mod is made, the better new me who realizes all of this stuff, the older and the wiser me, you should really try and cater for everybody. You should build a mod around the same restrictions and specification that the rest of the game is built, because you will then guarantee that, or near enough guarantee, that it will have the same performance as the rest of the game. If the game runs at this performance and you make a mod that's up here, you're going to just fuck people's games up, and you shouldn't really do that. So essentially the old one was packed to the brim with stuff. It went about 100% over, 200% over, whatever, can't get my percentages right. It went way over the sort of set limits by Bethesda on mods. Why did that go into screensaver? That's really annoying. Yeah, it essentially went crazy with it. And as a result, it was buggy, it was broken, it was crashy, and not very good. So this version won't be that, in theory. So, although I would expect a crash or two, given that I'll be recording it. So yeah, long story short, I cancelled the rebuild, and then due to certain people, it sort of piqued my interest, started sparking the little flame and the ideas, and I just dived back into it to look at a few things, and all of a sudden, before I knew it, within months, I had rebuilt the entire interior, put everything in place, started streaming the damn thing on a weekly basis. I do 2 or 3 streams a week, although I'll be cutting that down a little bit, and in place, hopefully doing some more YouTube videos. And it's nearly finished. So yeah, without further ado, as a lot of you know I ramble, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the game, see what's what, and let you all get an idea of what the new Mörskom Estate has in store. It is cool. Hope you'll all enjoy it. Like I say, audio might be shaky, visuals might not be the best in the world, and it's going to be long. Okay, so welcome to the game. It turns out that 1, I had irritating seagulls flying around my head with stupid sounds due to a mod, and 2, I may have managed to fix the shadow play recording audio, so I might not sound as bad as I thought I would. All that aside, welcome to the game, and as you can see, here's Morskom Estate. I'm just going to run through some things before I head up the stairs and eventually go inside of the house. So first of all, the shop has been removed. The reason behind this is that I'm getting rid of all of the NPCs. That's the shop owner, the locksmith, and the various recruits that you used to be able to get that had a stupid system where you would essentially hire them and have to keep them hired by putting money in the mailbox, something along those lines, and you had to keep paying them, otherwise they ran off, and it was kind of stupid. I'm quite the strong believer nowadays that your mod should have a lot more choice in terms of what NPCs you bring into it. There should not be forced merchants and stuff in the home. You've got that option to bring your own spouse in, your own kids in, your own followers in, who can sleep in the beds that you assign using various follower mods. That's the way it should be, and that's the way that this mod will now be. There will not be set beds and bedrooms for set NPCs you just don't have any relationship with or simply care about. So the shop has also gone for the reason that the shop didn't really fit in the game. It causes major compatibility issues with other mods, and there's just not really a need for it given the way that I've now stored all of the items in the basement and tied it into the new storyline. So there is also a story to go with this mod now. There's a reason for the ghost. You'll learn who the ghost is and have a little bit of interaction with the ghost to some extent at the start of it, and there will be a starting quest for gaining ownership of the house. You won't pay 10,000 gold or whatever it was before just to upfront buy it. You will have to interact with the Jarl, and I do take into consideration which Jarl is currently sitting in the chair, because that does change depending on where you take the storyline. So hopefully with a combination of some clever scripting, clever dialogue, and taking some existing dialogue from the game with those various people, I'll be able to put together a little bit of a quest where you will essentially vanquish the ghost and find out about his backstory through like a 20-page journal. So all that aside, yes, essentially major change there is that the shop is gone. There's going to be a short quest line to it. It's not done though, so we'll be just grabbing the keys off the new mailbox at the top of the stairs. So I am keeping a lot of immersive features like the lighting of the sconces, for example, and I've added a ton of other stuff. The major thing with the structure is that it's had a lot of change to make a lot more logical sense. It's had a lot of change with the textures and just the general architecture so that it matches Dawnstar a little bit more. I do understand that it does still look like, and it is, a house that's been ripped straight out of Windhelm essentially, and then 2 mashed together to make this building, but it's been put together a lot nicer. So if I go into TFC mode, I'll wait around a little while because the weather's not the best, and hopefully get some clearer weather. There we go, so we can get a good view of this. So like I say, a lot of the textures now match up with Dawnstar itself. It feels more like a part of Dawnstar. It's just visibly, in my opinion, and hopefully in your own, a lot more impressive. I've just had a lot of time to hone my skills since the last time Mörskom Estate was really touched, and texture-wise, it's a lot better. Things make sense. Things are matching nicer with the surroundings. So I'm really going to leave it up to you, a lot of you who have already played the old mod, to notice a lot of the changes, and then the rest of you who may be new to this mod entirely can sort of just look and see what you think. So I'll let you know the sort of changes, but I'll mention some of the bigger ones. So mainly the front of the house and the exterior of the house have had new doorways. They were just blocks with horrible doors rammed in. They were not very good. The mailbox, which we'll look at closer in a moment, has been actually designed to be a cool little mailbox, where I've done some mesh work. I'm not brilliant with models, but I do what I can with Nifscope and some splicing and dicing with things. So the front of the house and the exterior, if we go over there, are a lot better looking in terms of the entranceways. The windows and the general structure, I've tried to make sure the exterior and the interior match up a lot more, so it's a bit more realistic. Things are actually where they're supposed to be. And there are some other big changes which I'll mention. So yeah, the house itself, in my opinion, is now looking great. It just sort of is put together a lot nicer. It looks a lot better built, and I've done a better way of sort of merging these two individual buildings together to look like one. So the other major change, especially at the rear of the house, is this massive awesome wall, which has been put in place of the old crappy wall, which was literally just a wall, you know, copied and pasted in. So this wall is pretty nice now. It's got a big runway along the top of it, which you can actually walk on thanks to a really cool resource out there. I forget exactly which one. I think it's a castle resource somewhere, but it's been heavily modded as well. I've changed a lot of the resources that I've made. I'm trying to use far less resources with this mod for both size's sake and because it fits into the game a lot nicer the less resources that you use. If you use too many resources, your mod tends to look like almost an entirely different game, and it's a bit jarring in my opinion and takes you away from the rest of the game. So yeah, had this nice new big walkway. You will, when you become Thane, automatically receive 2 guards that will patrol the area. So 2 in the day, 2 at night. They'll be different, they'll be randomized, they'll use the game's own guard system. So a lot of this stuff is tied much better into the game now, and they will basically just rotate on shifts through the day and night, and they will wander along here, they'll wander along the front. Other structural changes just for outside before we head inside is there's a new gate, which is really neat, just to separate the front and the back. The walkway is a bit more of a walkway. And another big major thing in terms of windows and the structure to match the new basement is the little side windows just in these small low down alcoves here, which you'll see in the basement a bit later on, which I think is very, very nice. So yeah, a lot of structural changes. I've kept the pole there with the banner waving on it, which is more like a flag because it's been tilted. I might make a custom one. I'm not entirely sure yet. There is a gate to this, which can also be barred from the one side. So you'll get those big bars that come down and across, which is really cool. Again, we'll see that a bit later on once I've sort of refurbished everything. Just to finish off the exterior, if we go down to the docks, there's a completely redesigned docks area, slightly redesigned boat, and the old boat smashed up there still remains. I won't be doing the whole chopping down of trees anymore. I thought that was a bit silly and pointless, not really needed. Really simplified it. And yeah, you've got these nice broken down old docks, which will build out into a much better set of docks with the boat, of course. So you'll be still doing some exterior crafting. The sauna's had some major upgrades and improvement visually, as have the stables, and also this small hut here is a little bit better, and it's used for the actual firewood storage and crafting of exterior stuff. So you've not got a workbench just out on the sand at the back. It's actually got a dedicated location. So that's most of the exterior. I'd say it's time to go inside, really. I'm not going to mention every single feature. I want to leave some stuff as a surprise and sort of let you gauge everything yourself. But before we head in, yeah, here's the mailbox. It is fully functional. Not sure if I'll show too much of it, but it's a lot more advanced. It doesn't run constant scripts all the while. It's sort of fire and forget and works off the game's own magic effects system, running in the background sort of silently to allow mail to be delivered. So it's going to be a lot more efficient script-wise. There used to be a lot of scripts that ran when you entered the home initially. That's no longer the case anymore. there's maybe one or two, and that is it. Everything is just a lot more efficient, fits into the game a lot nicer. So let's grab the keys. Obviously they're not going to be on top of the mailbox. You will acquire them once you acquire the home through the quest, and we're going to go inside. Okie doke, so here we are inside of the home, and straight off I'll mention that there's a divider to make this small hallway. There's a very major change that I should probably mention and show instantly, which may need its own video. Essentially, I have created something that I like to call dynamic lighting. To explain what dynamic lighting is, I will first explain a very quick issue as I go around lighting these lights, which have their own little sound effect. Dynamic lighting comes off the back of an issue with Skyrim which most mod authors have probably experienced if they're making large interiors, where the lights, if you have too many of them in a sort of close proximity, will result in light flicker. What I mean by light flicker is that they will appear to essentially flicker on and off, appear and disappear, and cause entire sections of meshes to go a dark black colour. And then sort of just flicker back into existence. It is irritating, and it is a major problem when you're trying to make really good lighting in homes, and you end up making pretty major sacrifices to how you want your lighting. Now, straight away, I will tell you that this was bugging the hell out of me with this mod. It has bugged the hell out of me with Corinthia Tower, and Corinthia Tower Reborn, which you can get on the Nexus, by the way, had to make a lot of sacrifice, and it took literally 4 or 5 hours to get the lighting in place for that mod, plus the rest, I suppose, to get it how I wanted, and it never was how I wanted. I may have found not a fix, but a controllable method of preventing light flicker in areas with a lot of light sources. So mod authors are going to sort of get this immediately while they look at this area. I've got a single light source for these candles here, that sconce, both have their own light sources. There are light sources at every single high up window. There is a huge light source for the main lighting into the hallway from these 3 windows, and usually by now I would be experiencing a severe amount of light flickering. 1 or 2 of the meshes in this area would be going a dark black colour. They're not. I don't know why. I don't know why in terms of why when I've created these lights, and I'll explain what I mean by created in a moment, that this is not a major problem already. Just by sort of making all of the lights in that room, they should have started to flicker majorly and cause massive issues. However, I seem to have a somewhat controllable workaround. Essentially what most authors do, what I've done in the past for all of my mods, is I will create a light source and I will have it enable parented to a marker or an object which will be enabled and disabled. So I only show the lights I want when I light up a light source. A lot of mod authors don't actually bother with this system. Their lights are just there and they're static. However, I like to have it so that you can turn things on and off. So candles mainly, blow them out and light them back up. But in the game's eyes and the engine's eyes, those lights are persistent. They are always there, even if they're not visible to the player. So they still cause light flicker. My idea was to dynamically create lights on the fly and then delete them from the game. So what happens when I light this? It creates a light source, and then when I blow the candle out, it finds the nearest light and it will delete it. Meaning that it's no longer there to affect the other lights around it, which gives you some control over the flicker. If you have too many lights enabled, not really enabled like I say, if you have too many lights created in a small area, then it will cause flicker. But with my system, you'll be able to mitigate the issue by just turning some lights off in the home. So not to make this entire start of this video to do with the lighting, that's essentially the idea. Is what I'm telling you is as I go around this mod now, creating these light sources, you should see minimal flicker. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not perfect. Like I say, if I create too many lights in a small area, there will be a major amount, well, not a major amount actually, quite a minor amount of flicker, and it will vary from person to person, rig to rig, setup to setup. but you'll see that I'm lighting a lot of sources up here perfectly fine without issue and getting away with it. Shadow lights, it doesn't tend to work with very well, so shadow lights, considering that you only have a maximum of 4 in a cell by the engine's design, I have done those with the old enable disable system. I have got a script which eventually I may share, but I'm keeping it to myself for now because it's still not perfect and I don't know if I can perfect it, and I don't know how well it works on other people's machines and setups. So, but yeah, essentially the lighting is very cool. It's like stuff that I've done in the past with Riverside Shack, where you can turn lights on and off, and Corinthia Tower even had it to some extent, which is allowing me to come up with this very beautiful looking lighting system where lights are mostly where they should be. The light is coming from where it should. If you find that a lot of this mod has some darker areas, that's mainly down to my own settings, which make things generally darker. On most people's machines who like to have lighter interiors, you should be okay. This has been set to the same level but a tiny bit darker than the standard cells within the game, so it should essentially be fit to your own setup, if that makes sense. So enough of the lighting. Essentially I've potentially created an awesome lighting system which is really nice, that hopefully solves my issue. And yeah, as you can see, as I've been talking about the lighting system, I've been lighting all of these lights up. You'll notice that the place is covered in cobwebs. It looks a lot more run down than the old version did to begin with, and then you can go ahead and craft. I do plan on having plenty of tutorial messages that show up in-game, preventing the need to go out of the game to read a guide. So you'll kind of get guided as you go along, but a lot of that system has not yet been implemented, so... So like I say, there's going to be some issues with this. It's not perfect yet. There's going to be some bugs, especially because this is the special edition version and not everything converts across very easily the first time. You can ignore the ghost here, but his name is actually Torben, if you want to know. And you may have noticed, if you played the old version, some of the changes that have been made already. You'll notice there's just not, at least what I've been seeing, not really any light flicker yet, and we've turned loads of lights on in such a small area. Let's go ahead and get this forge lit. So, like I say, a lot of immersive features where you'll be lighting the forge via the bellows, you'll be putting them out via the water, and other bits and pieces. Everything just flows. It's a very immersive experience now. Everything is activatable. You interact with everything rather than have a lot of menus. There are, in cases, some menus still to go through, but for the most part, everything in this mod is interactable. It feels more natural and sort of easy to run through and activate. You know, there's not too many menus. So I've still got things like wall mounting and trophy creation improved on top of Hearthfire's system, where once you've made it you can actually get rid of it and even get some materials back. So I can go ahead and craft some trophies here. Obviously this stuff isn't free, you need to gather materials for it. And I've tried to make a fair amount of choice like I had before, but I've limited it somewhat this time around, just so it's a bit easier. So I can create a Spriggan, and so on and so forth, which is really cool. So I can do my wall mounts as well. So yeah, loads of cool immersive features. I'm probably not going to show all of them though. Okie doke, so you might notice that I just cut the video there. I need to get a drink. My voice was going a bit. Next up, I want to go ahead and just show you the crafting system. So, just like my other most recent mods, it uses a very similar crafting system to what I've always used. It's similar to Hearthfire, not quite as complex as having a drafting table. I tend to like to take that out of the equation. But you'll have a carpenter's workbench which you'll go on, and you will craft various items for various rooms. However, this time around I've added a bit of an advancement. Even on my late Riverside Shack 3 mod, I have advanced it in the sense that I don't put in brackets the time that it takes to craft anything anymore. And you can also cut down the amount of crafting material required depending on your skill level. So if you're very skilled in smithing, it will take far less material to craft something. But if you're not very skilled in smithing, you're going to need a bit more material because you'll need the practice and you'll make a lot more mistakes. And naturally, as you would in the real world, use up a lot more material doing so. So yeah, skill levels are taken into consideration when crafting, and now in the menu, like I say, without time being sort of placed on the end of the name of the item, making it extremely long and a bit weird looking. When you click on it to create the item, you usually get this little menu in the game to say, do you want to create it? Yes. You'll get an additional confirmation to ask whether you want to continue to craft. Are you sure? Essentially, because it's going to take this amount of hours, which is really cool. So I can say no, and I get all my crafting items back, and I can also say yes, which will actually craft the object. So I'm purposefully not going to craft the sink, because at the moment in Special Edition it causes the game to crash. I know what the cause is, I just need to fix it. So what I'm going to do, I think I will probably leave the bathroom for now. It does have a working toilet with sound effects for pooping, like the old version did, for those of you that remember it. But I'm not going to show that feature. I'm going to leave that for you to enjoy and have fun with when the mod does release. What I'll do instead is I will go ahead and just craft the bedroom and pretty much that whole front area of the house. Okay, so I've gone ahead, crafted the kids' room, the display room, the bedroom. There's a big structural change I'm going to mention for the display room in a moment. And I'm also going to show the sort of new lighting setup. So, as I've done in my previous mods, but nowhere near to the same extent because I didn't have this cool new lighting system, which works a treat, is I had it so that the lights will brighten up and darken, which is a common thing in the game. It's called emittance, just depending on what time of day it is. So if it's nighttime, it's a lot darker, and if it's daytime, the sun beams through a lot more. But because of the restrictions of the size of the structures that I've previously built, the mods, and the amount of light sources that I needed and the compromises I made, I haven't been able to use it to a very full effect. However, this time I have. So you'll see it's pretty dull here at the moment, but if I wait around just a few hours, you should notice the room is a lot brighter. We've actually got some proper sunlight coming through that window, which is really neat. And if you keep a look on the window, I go back at around night time, you'll see it darkens again and it goes a bit more blue. So it's like a moonlight coming through, which is really neat. But again, if we wait around a while, it's changing colour, brightens up for the daytime, which is really, really neat. So the kids' room layout has changed quite a bit. There's some other stuff which this room is perfect for that I want to show you. I will deal with the cobwebs momentarily. The things that I want to show you are what my mods are most famous for, which is the ability to make subtle changes to the player home in terms of theming, essentially. So colours of things mainly. So I've got some rugs here. All you have to do now is look down and activate a rug. They used to be on a rack that you would activate and have a big, long, horrible menu for. Now they're a lot more immersive. You just activate them and they change. The other thing is that they use a similar system to the new lighting system, where it will in fact delete itself and create a new version, copying the stats of both scale and position for the next rug in a sort of ongoing list, which it will just kind of keep going through. So if I keep activating this rug, you'll see it changes colour, and these aren't all initially disabled like the old system. They are dynamically created just like the lighting to cut down on the amount of memory in the house and just to make things more performance happy. So rugs are nice and easy to change. Beds are exactly the same pretty much. The kids' beds you can just activate straight out because you can't actually use them yourself because they're kids' beds, and you can change all the colours for each of your children, although getting them to sleep in the right bed is your problem, not mine. So activate these all change colour, really, really neat, just gives that bit of personalisation. If we ignore the display room for the minute, your own bed, you will need to use the system for crouching and activating. Again, a lot of this will get explained in tutorials anyway, put in game, and if you activate it, you can use the bed. You've also got seating, which you can sit on, or you can crouch and change the colour there. So there's just a lot more options, and it's much nicer input into the game for changing things, essentially. So I'm just going to light that up. You do get some menus in places like there if you need choice to do one thing or the other. And you'll see that light flickering does still exist, but I was able to light a ton of light sources up before I started to experience that problem. And like I say, the difference with that system now is I can go ahead and get rid of a light downstairs that might be clashing with it. I can turn one off, and as long as I can control the lights in my house, that will essentially stop happening for the most part. So you might find that if I get rid of this light, see it goes off, the flickering will either shift to somewhere else in the house or stop completely. I've found there are a couple of areas in the house where it's more likely to happen. Essentially, there's a light in the forge that kind of affects it heavily, but for the most part, not a problem. But I'm going to take the focus off the slight lighting issues for now. The bedroom has a couple of nice features that I'll go ahead and show. Actually, I'll probably... yeah, you can't actually forcefully put that out. I'll probably put this light back on, actually, just so we can see. You can roll out additional bedrolls for people that are visiting, or you can have them sleep in the basement somewhere. You can change the rug in here as well. There are some nice little interactable features, but again, I'm not going to go through them all. You can put the pillows on the bed and take them off and add a throw on and take that off as well, but it's a bit wonky at the minute, so I'm not going to show you that. There's been a massive, just general redesign on everything as well, so I've been trying to redo some nice cluttering similar to how Eleonora used to clutter it. She's not been involved with this project in any way, really. I just chose to take this on myself. Probably should have mentioned that earlier on, actually, but yeah, it's just me on my own that has been doing this with some assistance from SimSim. So my girlfriend, essentially. She's quite good with meshes and other bits and bobs. So yeah, big changes to a lot of the rooms. So this is where most of the change has really happened in terms of placement of objects and arrangement. The display room is a heck of a lot smaller as well now. So I've got the same old big displays, but there's a huge difference. So unique storage I have completely gotten rid of. Reason for this is I just don't believe it anymore, and it's a pain to set up. I would much rather be able to put whatever I want in my display cases in terms of weapons, armor, shields, bits and bobs like that. Rather than being told, unless I've completed the game and got all the items, they're going to remain empty. It just looks ridiculous. So here you can essentially go ahead, put shields on racks if you wish. So activate shield rack. Hang on, I think I've got equipped it. Yeah, there you go. Got to equip it. So I can put shields on the shield racks. I can put weapons up on here. Any weapons that I want this time around. It's a lot more like a standard player home where I can activate that, put things on there. And the wonderful thing that I've managed to do with these is get these doors to work. You now have these wonderful big glass display doors on my custom displays, and you can hang things inside to your heart's content and put what you want to put in here. Like I say, it's not restricted anymore, which is just a heck of a lot nicer. So obviously this is a lot smaller, like I say. You've got a bookcase here which has been taken from Claywater Retreat, a sort of test project that helped with the creation of a lot of resources that I never actually released. But I did an awesome bookshelf system which essentially lets you pick a top, middle and bottom shelf and put things inside, and they perfectly neatly go inside the bookcase. I'm not going to show that because I don't really have any books at the moment, but the bookcases are pretty fantastic and the library has plenty of them. So there's a ladder here to get up into this little attic space, which is pretty neat. Nice bit of lighting coming through here. You've got plenty of options for storage here too, just chests and such. Static clutter is pretty much a thing of the past. There are some areas where there is still static clutter where it's appropriate, but otherwise I've got rid of static clutter. It feels a lot more vanilla in the way that you can just throw things about and just move things. There is a secret room just like there was in the old one. Some people don't even realise that there was one. I'm not going to show you where it is, what it is, because I want that to remain a secret. But that's pretty much the display area and the bedroom sorted. The kids' room, as you can see, arranged a bit differently and a lot nicer in my opinion. So I've tried my best to kind of keep the feel of the old Mörskom while also adding a lot of new stuff too. So I said I was going to clean up, and I think I will. I'll go ahead and tidy up. So you don't have to activate a broom that you don't realise is a thing anymore. It's clearly got a house option here for cleaning. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Right, now we shouldn't have cobwebs everywhere. We can also put the new floor in, but I personally kind of like the old floor. So instead of calling this like broken old knackered flooring, it's actually kind of a choice. You can switch between polished floor and broken floor. So you can use a pickaxe to get up the new floor as well if you like, and go back to the old brushed flooring if you so wish. We need a light in here. We need to light this up, don't we? See, I think we've seen the living room, but not fully crafted. Yeah, there's a load of structural changes, a load of design changes, placement changes. The forge had quite the overhaul as well. So I think what I'm going to do just for this general interior before I head into the basement and show some of that is I'm going to go ahead, get everything crafted for the most part, at least in the main interior. And then we're going to take a little look around and just, I'm going to let you see some of the changes, mention a couple of exciting new features. Okay, so I have purposefully gone ahead and left certain things alone for two reasons. One is you're going to see how some of the items that appear on top of the furniture you've crafted, sort of where they come from. And two, I want to show you the system with the mailbox where you don't have to craft. If you've got more money than skill, you can pay for this to be done. So, first off, we've got the hallway. You'll see once it's all crafted, you've got some items in here, pretty nice. Some weapon racks there for additional storage. Along the top here, we've got mannequins. Don't worry if they move a bit. This special edition set up, but you have to kind of activate them to sit them in place initially. I know a lot of people hate mannequins, but once they are set up correctly, they do tend to play nice for the most part. So you've got these huge displays where you can store your armors on your mannequins, which is nice for the hallway. So I got rid of the old Alduin's wall. It really didn't make sense, to be honest. It really just didn't. I'll go ahead and blow out these candles if I wish. The library I've left for the moment. I've gone ahead and crafted a lot of the living room, which is probably the first room that you should do, to be honest, for various reasons. And I'm going to get all this set up and come back to it. So I've got two more mannequins in here, like the old version. I'll just get them put into place. And I can, of course, put stuff onto them, just like the normal game. Put all the Falmer stuff on if I wish. Again, I can change things in here if I want to make it my own liking. The forge is one of my favourite rooms now. The forge itself has been completely redone to make a bit more logical sense. Still got the old crafting bench design there. And you don't have to pull anything out of the basement anymore, so it's kept most of the crafting in this one centralised location where it should be. Dining room has changed quite a bit. This is now central to the actual room. We've got a much bigger arch here, which has just made it a bit more open plan. A lot nicer than the old version. You can, of course, go ahead and dress all of this up. There will be tablecloths that you can change the colours of too, but that's not been set up just yet. It's a bit trickier than the other stuff. You've got a shrine here, which you can change the shrine of. It's a bit wonky at the minute. It needs some tweaking to get it working. Yeah, it's essentially broke. Like I said, there'll be some things that don't quite work yet. But you should be able to cycle through the shrine that you want. So the kitchen I've left on purpose as well. So the library and the kitchen I'm going to do shortly. Just thinking what else I've done. I've kind of mostly done the bathroom. You can do the toilet and the bath again and take a nice bath. And I will just pop into the research room. The research room has an exciting new feature, which I'll show in a moment. Just going to go ahead and change this rug as well, so I can just tweak that to my liking. The enchanter table, unfortunately, is not fixed for special edition yet, but that comes up with some glowing symbols. The entire table isn't meant to glow, just the symbols on it are. So I've recreated some special sort of alchemy bench and enchanting area. And it's kept most of the same design, but again, this has been made from scratch, so the clutter's been completely redone. But it still gives you the feel of the old Mörskom, which is kind of what I was aiming for. I do potentially still plan on using the map system as well for the boat, but I don't know if I'm going to let the boat travel you places or do fishing. I'm not entirely certain what I'm going to do with it just yet, but I want this room to have a lot of features in it for doing various things. So you can craft do your alchemy, do your enchanting, do your boat controlling. You can use the new scroll station, which is, I think, a complete new feature for this, something that I've pulled in from Corinthia Tower, but improved upon, where you can activate scroll station, and you will create essentially a random scroll this time around. Again, it's well, this is sort of not based on skill, it's based on a randomizer which will randomly create an adept, apprentice, expert, master or novice scroll depending on what you decide to use for it. So if I go and do an expert scroll, managed to rank up making that as well. I went ahead and got a scroll of invisibility. In addition, what will happen is after you've used enough ink, you will actually run out of ink and you will need to replenish your ink supply in order to write out more scrolls, which is a kind of cool feature, and it will sort of guide you through telling you to do that. So another neat thing. So the research room is actually one of my favourite rooms now. It was one of my least favourite rooms before. I got rid of the spider crafting thing because it had no place. There is a staves enchanter, but it will only be able to be used once you've got through a certain part of the Dragonborn DLC to make sure that it sort of keeps the game balanced how it should be. The ghost having a nice meal there. And what did I want to show you next? Right, so next up I'm going to go to the desk and show you some of the mailbox system. Okay, so to use the desk you can either activate ledger or sit on the chair and it will activate a crafting workbench. So the mailbox is going to work with the desk. So the desk is where you'll create items and the mailbox is where you'll put those items in, which will essentially send out requests for various things. So what will happen now is I can create a book club subscription, which will take an amount of gold. After a certain amount of time it will sort of expire the subscription, so it's a good amount of time. I'm still tweaking the sort of values, but what will happen is you will receive a note and your final book for the month or say or the day or every few days I think it is that I've set that you get a book. So after so many days you'll get a note that says, hey, thanks for subscribing to the book club, your subscription has ended. If you would like to renew it, please send us another sort of renewal kind of notice and you can then just resubscribe, which I think is pretty fair, so it doesn't continuously, you know, carry on and take any money off you or anything like that. So charitable donation, I'll make that one as well. You'll see you have all of these options for hiring workers. At the moment, this isn't 100% complete, and you can actually hire workers for rooms that have already been crafted. That won't be the case. This will change depending on the current state of the house. But I know that I haven't done the kitchen, so what I want to do is hire 2 workers who are going to do the kitchen for me. So I'll craft that. I've got mail requests, which essentially kickstarts the mailbox process, so it's kind of like sending out a letter to the courier system to say, hey, I would like to receive mail now. Before anybody goes putting in the comments, does this mean that the courier doesn't chase after you? No, I haven't directly tied it into the courier system. The idea behind the courier in the game and from his actual dialogue suggests that the stuff he delivers to you is handwritten. It's extremely important that it reaches you, so his job is to make sure personally that it gets to you. This mail is far less important mail, and even junk mail and such. So this isn't going to tie into the courier system because it would just mess with things that I don't want to mess with this mod. So this is a separate mailing system that is more of a fun thing and a way of interacting with the crafting and management of your home. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I've got the mail sack there as well that I can create. The mail sack is an interesting one. You'll see this now takes me into a new menu. This is some of the sort of tutorial stuff that should start to show once I've programmed it all. Please place items into your mail sack and place a sack into your mailbox. So what's going to happen here is you're going to have the ability to craft a chest which can be put anywhere in the world, and then you'll be able to put items into a mail sack, put it into your mailbox, and the mail system will deliver those items to your chest. It will take them to a container that you've put in the world. So for example, I could put a container in Corinthia Tower or another player home from the Nexus, anywhere I wanted, and then if I want to move things from here to my other home, I can do so via my mailbox. So I can essentially mail things to myself, which is I think quite a nice feature. So what I want to do now is just head outside, go to the mailbox itself and dump all my stuff in and get the ball rolling, and I'll show you how some of this system works. There might be some debug notifications in place and other bits and bobs, because, as I say, this mod isn't finished. There's still going to be some problems with it, so expect there to be some weird things here and there. Let's go back outside. So you'll see the mod is extremely stable, even when I'm recording at 1080p 60 FPS as well. Oh, that's interesting. My keys respawned. I think I've got 2 sets of keys. Yeah, I have. The keys have been redone as well. They're pretty neat. That allows you to unlock the gate as well. So I'm just going to save before I mess everything up. And yes, my character's name is Butch. I couldn't think of anything. So I've got my things here. I'm going to put in the charitable donation. As you would expect, it gives me the gift of charity for donating to people. I've also got my book club subscription, so I can start receiving free books after a day. Book club has been joined. And you're not going to get notifications saying a new book has arrived or you've got mail or anything like that. You're just going to come home and check it and you'll see that you've got mail, and any messages that need to be sent to you will be sent to you via the mailbox. So I want to hire 2 workers for the kitchen. They take a day to arrive as well, which is nice. I want to start receiving mail itself, although nothing will actually come through because that's not entirely finished yet. And I also want to try putting stuff in my mailbox. In my mail sack, into my other mailbox, essentially. So if I activate that in my inventory, that will open up a menu where I can dump stuff in. So if I'm dropping some of all of this old junk, I can then put that mail sack into my mailbox, and in theory it will get delivered to my container. As it is, my container's in a test cell. If I was to go there, it would be in there. Take my word for it. I'm not actually going to bother showing. What I'm going to do, I'm going to pop back inside. I'm going to give it a day, and then I should see that workers are showing up. I'm receiving mail, and everything's starting to flow really nicely. And it all works through the magic effects system, so the game's own built-in systems. There's only one script in this entire mod, which is to do with the workers, that actually runs for a period of time and then cuts itself off. So you'll see, yeah, there's some little debug notifications going off here. What I want to do is just wait around for a day, allow things to kick in. We might hear hammering actually in a moment.
I've been looking for you.
Oh, hello.
That's something I'm supposed to deliver. Your hands only.
Boy, am I glad you came into my home to deliver bloody mail to me. Thanks. So you will see here that I have 2 workers, one's sweeping, one's hammering away, and they're performing work on the home for me. And eventually, stuff will appear in here. There's even a workbench that they'll be working at. And another cool thing, letter delivered, that's a debug notification. You won't actually get that. You will just discover stuff in your mailbox. A thing that you might notice about the kitchen now is that I've completely changed how the doorway was. It was a stupid block in the corner with the door. The stairs are actually included in the kitchen now, which is rather cool. So I'm going to go down here. I'm just going to turn this light on because I can't see very well. I'm going to go in the basement, and there's something cool in the basement. The workers obviously don't work 24/7. That would be stupid. They actually have a bit of time to take a break. Just going to light up all these candles. Oh, by the way, you pull a string as well to, or a rope, I should say, to change banners, but it's not very bright in this room, so I'm not going to show it here. I probably won't show it at all. But you can essentially change your banners as well now, just like the old mod. I'm just going to get all this area lit up nicely for them. I think I need to do a clean up for the basement actually as well. I'm just going to light a bunch of lights up. Oh, sorry, there's no door there. Door's in here. So you'll see the other thing that I wanted to show you is that there's a load of boxes everywhere with all of the bits and bobs sort of packed away for the different rooms. And what will happen is as you craft areas, the items will disappear from in the basement and they'll be scattered throughout the house in the various rooms. This is also a storage room where you'll find there's not as much stuff in here anymore, but there was a lot more stuff in here before I started crafting. I just didn't show it you. There's also crafting options down here just to make some beds and seating area and storage and stuff in the hallways and a training room, which wasn't in the old mod. This is entirely new basement from the previous version, and you can craft various things and make this a bit more homely in the basement for your followers. So you're going to get a lot of debugs there because I think I've temporarily lowered the time for testing for when things are delivered, so I'm probably going to have a lot of mail. There's this little area here. It's a little seating area and a couple of beds. This is what the workers use at night, essentially. So if I wait around a while, they'll come down here, they'll chill out for a few hours, and then they'll sleep for over the night, which is really cool. So they'll just basically chill down here when they're not working on the house. Some tasks don't take very long. It takes different amounts of time depending on the room. So for example, the bedroom is a big job. It takes about 3 days, whereas doing something as simple as the hallway only takes a day or so to do. So if I just wait around now, you'll see that their stuff disappears once they're finished performing their work. I think the kitchen takes a couple of days. So they should just disappear if I wait a couple of days. Your mail, in theory, should keep coming and coming and coming until you're ready to have it stop if you ever want to stop your mail flow. So I'm just going to pop up, and the kitchen should be done for me now. As you can see, they've done a lot of work in the kitchen. I'm just going to wait until morning, though. It's a bit dark in here, and you should see it brightens up a bit because of the sunlight. Maybe just a tad bit, anyway. That painful waiting. There you go. A bit more brightness coming from there. So, got a really nice kitchen. Kitchen has been completely redesigned as well. I've kitted it out really differently. And if I just light up the oven. Oven not lit. Oh yeah, I've got to... I need to actually light the oven. There we go. You can only use the oven once you've lit it. And then you go ahead and do stuff with it. So it's got a really nice shadow light on it as well, which is pretty cool. Lights it up a bit more, and what I'm going to do is just pop out and check my mail now. Okie doke, let's check the mail, shall we? So you'll see I've got various things. I joined a book club, so I've got some books on me. That looks a bit horrible. I've got book club notes, so one of these is going to say, where it says insert name, it will actually end up putting your name in once I've done it properly. It's called the Blue Donkey Book Club. They say we'd like to welcome you to the book club service, and it goes on and on and on, saying that your subscription will cancel after a certain amount of time and you'll have to renew it. And then it did expire because everything's sort of sped up a little bit at the moment for testing. It says, thank you for subscribing to the book club. We hope that you enjoyed the books you received, blah, blah, blah. And it gives you a random book each time. And it costs a certain amount of gold just to renew. And it says that, yes, you can go ahead and renew if you so wish. And yeah, I received a bunch of books. I also got some mail packages, which I think should work, actually. Let me just check if these mail packages actually work. So I've had a loot and a love letter added to me, so I think these are set up. So I've got some nice little love letters, which is kind of good, little love poems from mystery people. Don't know who they are. And yeah, I can just sort of open these packages up. Let me see what else I got actually. That was quite interesting. I got a clothes iron and a letter from a friend. That's interesting. Hello, friend. You wouldn't remember me, but you once saved my life, and I am forever in your debt. Please accept this small gift as thanks. It's all I have to offer. A clothes iron, really? So it's quite good. It actually does like different combinations of letters with items, which makes things random and quite fun, really. And as you can see, the mail system is constantly rolling. It won't be that fast, obviously. It'll be a day or every 2 days that you'll actually receive mail, and there'll be a chance that you don't get any. We can also go ahead and show the lighting of the sconces, which works very similarly. It will actually make sure you've got a torch and fire salts, otherwise it won't let you do it, because what you're going to light them with otherwise. There we go. There you go, it keeps them going. And you can go around and light them all up if you so wish. So I'll go ahead and unlock the gate as well. And you can build back up the sauna, you can use the sauna, but you know what? I think I'm going to leave a lot of it there, to be honest. I'm not really going to show too much of this. Although I did really want to show off the gate, so I'll show the exterior once it's all built. I'll go ahead, craft all that up, show you bits of the exterior, and then we will probably call the video there, to be honest. So I'll go ahead and get all that crafted. Okie doke, so I finished crafting the exterior. You'll see I've now got a gate which comes barred, which is really cool. So if I was to try and activate this on the other side, I wouldn't get through. I can lift that up. And I can open up my gate. The gate is a lot better. It's a lot bigger. It's just awesome. The sauna is really cool too. This has been mostly redesigned. Kept the same windows because they're really, really nice. Eleanor did a good job with it. But I've changed the interior quite a bit. It had a lot of steps going up, which I didn't like. So it's just a nice little bench now that you can sit on. You can light the sauna using firewood. You can close it. And the smoke will actually go up and pop out of the chimney, which is really cool. We've got this nice build area here where you can build up firewood. So you can store stuff here. In theory... Oh, I better stand back. I'll end up embedding myself inside of it. Firewood only. It's a bit buggy at the minute. Okay. You can also light up lanterns and stuff outside, which is really nice. Hang these lanterns up and such. It's kind of a cool feature. A lot of interactability. There is a secret entrance, which I don't mind showing you, where you can open up and get into the basement. But I won't show you the rest of in the basement, where it actually leads through. That's for you to find out when you get the mod, if you get the mod. So yeah, you can light this. In theory, when this is lit, all of this will sort of disappear. You'll be able to go and sit in the hot tub and chill out. But it's not 100% working just yet, but it will be. The door seems to have disappeared. Oh no, there it is. It is there. I thought I'd forgotten the frigging door then. And yeah, we've got stables. Your horse will appear at the stables. If you fast travel here, it will actually put your horse there, which is really cool. And here's the boat. Once you've gone ahead and crafted that, you've moved it off the side, fixed it up, and the docks have been rebuilt. I always like the docks. They were really cool, and I've redesigned them. I always like the idea of the docks, I should say, and I always like the sign, so I've kept the sign there, which is really, really cool. And right now you can't do anything here. I swear that boat's a bit huge, isn't it? Should that wheel be that big? Might have to edit that. That's freaking humongous. Some scaling issues, I think. But anyway, yeah, that's the docks. There's some snow and everything, because there pretty much should be. There's also a small boat, which I might allow you to use as well for something. And it's just generally a lot better. So, if I just get like a bit of a wider shot again of the entire exterior, it's quite nice weather to do so at the minute. This is the new Morskom Estate. Couple of things taken away for good reason, like the unique storage and such, but there is plenty of stuff that I have added back into this mod to make it what I kind of always envisioned it to be, really. Don't get me wrong, the old version was amazing. It was massively successful. Me and Eleanor are really thankful for like the love that mod received, but I think this is a massive improvement, and I'm super proud of it and super happy with it. So I suppose that's about all I'm really going to show. I think I've shown quite a lot off. I have shown the mod off quite a bit in past streams as well, so please do feel free to check me out on Twitch. I also stream simultaneously to YouTube anyway, if you do want to get a lot of the development of this, if you want to know how certain things are made, although most of this is done, but I will move on to other projects eventually. So yeah, that's pretty much Mörskom Estate. So I'm just going to do a bit of a wrap-up outro for you. Okay, so there we are. That is the current state of Morskom Estate, which is extremely close to being finished. Don't get me wrong, though. There's a lot of polish still to be done. There's a lot of bug testing, bug fixing. There's stuff there that I've sort of noticed even as I've been going through it there, even though I've gone through it a lot of time on stream. Like I said at the start, it wasn't going to really be any specific focused way of going through it. I kind of bounced around a bit and mentioned different things here and there. It wasn't really a constructed video. I just haven't got time anymore to really plan out videos too much, hence the lack of YouTube videos. So the question on everybody's mind is, when is this mod going to be ready? Well, as with any project, I do not want to rush it. I don't want to have it released with a load of bugs and issues. I do want to try and provide an almost bugless experience, believe it or not, with the Bethesda game. I want to try and provide a really good, clean, polished mod that everyone can enjoy and appreciate the new version over the old. That's my aim. So I would like it to be done by Christmas, but I'm not going to promise anything. There will be a full release trailer announcing the release date once I'm ready. This is just a video to hype it and let everybody know sort of the state of the mod, because a lot of people didn't even know that I'd continued with it, given that the last thing I'd pretty much shouted out was, I'm cancelling it, I don't want to do it anymore. And then all of a sudden I did it anyway. So a lot of people probably didn't even realise I'm working on this. But yeah, Mörskom Estate Rebuild is coming. It's not going to be called Rebuild. It's probably going to be called Mörskom Estate 3, similar to Riverside Shack. 3 is the magic number, I suppose. But yeah, hopefully Christmas, but no set release date yet. So yeah. You can, of course, follow the development of this over on my Twitch channel. I also simultaneously stream to YouTube. I tend to do it on the weekdays at around 5 PM. It's hit and miss in different days. I've got a schedule on the website because of work, shifts and such. I never have a set day in the week. I do tend to stream every Saturday whenever I can, sometimes push it to Sunday at about 2:30 UK time. So if you're interested in following the development, I do go through the development process. I go through the testing phases and whatnot. And we have a bit of fun while we do it. So yeah, I do stream on Twitch and YouTube. And there we go. I think that's pretty much about it. So hope you enjoyed this early preview. Let me know in the comments section down below. I will be keeping a close eye on those. And yeah. If you would like to support my work, if you want to help me with this modding endeavour to go back on some of my old stuff and make it way, way better. If you want to help support me and support my streaming mainly, if you're into watching my streaming, you can do so via Patreon. I do have a Patreon, a lot of people don't probably know about. It just helps no end. It always has since it started. So many thanks to those that do opt in on my Patreon. Thank you very much. I do also have a merch store now, one that does not suck and actually has some good quality items via Streamlabs. I'll leave the links down below, or you can get to everything on the website. It's probably easiest rather than me copy and pasting links that I keep forgetting about. But I've got some cool shirts, none of which I'm wearing now. But I've got some really cool shirts, so you can get something cool while also help support the channel a little bit. It's greatly appreciated. Other than that, I do have a community Discord if you want to come and share your creations and such and get help with things, because a lot of the time I don't have time to respond to a lot of emails anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, that's it. I'm rambling now. Everyone loves a good ramble. There we go. That's it. So I'm going to leave it there, and the next thing about Mörskom you'll probably see on this channel is a trailer with a release date, and yeah, all exciting. So that's it. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will speak to you all next time. And then scratch my nose, because it's been itching that entire outro.